Alrighty, traders. So it's John Howell here, and I'm going to be doing a market update for you. But I am absolutely I'm ticked off with this because there is something. There's something that here in Australia that's happening right now that is really it's so crazy. They're doing the same shit again, and the same thing is going to happen again. Anyway, so let's get straight into it. Don't place a trade based on what you'll see in this video because there is no guarantees of making a profit in the market. It takes you a long time to become a good trader. So this video here is just to educate you to become a much better trader. Alrighty, traders. So let's get straight into it. So the thing that I really want to share with you, or before I do start, guys, make sure you grab access to the free trading course here. This is a free course that I recorded over the last few weeks. It walks you through the 5 different phases of your trading career. The phase number 1 is all about the biggest mistakes you're making right now and how to overcome them. Phase number 2 is all about the chart reading techniques, how to actually read the charts properly so you can understand. Phase number 3 is all about understanding overbought and oversold levels, and also what to look for on the chart to notice you're not overbought, you're not oversold, but it's actually a good time to look for an actual good entry signal. And then I've got some special training for phase number 4, and then phase number 5 is all about the trading systems, money management, and so on and so forth. So make sure you go to johnsfreegift.com. So before I get into the actual market update, the market itself, I want to start off with, because there is some things that I really want to share with you when it comes to the actual techniques or the actual chart itself, because we may not be able to the woodwork yet when it comes to these markets here. And here is what I'm talking about here when it comes to this in Australia. Check this out. Look at this here. This is just I look at this here. So check this out right here. This one right here. $750 relief payments are back. That's what they're doing here in Australia. Maybe, just maybe, the Americans, maybe, just maybe, USA is going to do the exact same thing as well by looking at, but by doing that. Now, here's the thing, is that I am just lost for words when it comes to this situation. Don't they understand that by doing this, they're causing the inflation? These guys are idiots. Like, why? Yes, people are doing hard, but that's what's going to make them buckle down and work even harder. You know what I mean? It's like that's what you do. It's like this. I am just lost for words that they're actually doing it so soon. I would have expected Australia to go through at least a bit of a recession first. You know, we've been jacking up interest rates just like everyone else is around the world. And guess what's happening? And now because we're getting this. There's now like what, a red pill? There's 4 jabs coming out. What the fuck is going on with this shit? Oh my goodness, it drives me up the wall, and I'm just like, these guys are just. They're sending us to. I am just lost for words. I really am. It's like there's so much happening right now when it comes to, you know, when it comes to this here. It's like, don't they understand that what they're doing here is they're causing the same thing that they're causing. It's like, you watch now, inflation is probably going to continue to go up, or it has a lagging effect. I do believe we're going to get a pullback in the inflation rate. I don't know when, but this is the same shit that they do that caused the inflation rate to go up in the first place. Why? Because it's so much supply has been pumped in the system, more supply than demand. Guess what? The market goes up. So, you know, well, we're actually getting a lot of supply in the markets right now. So that's what I am just lost for words for when it comes to this here, and I just don't get it. Maybe, just maybe, this is the start of what's going to even happen back in America. Maybe they're going to start to flip, and we're going to start to see this thing start maybe back in America, we're going to start to get this again as well too. Now, guys, this is actually this relief payment is good for business owners. I'm a business owner. This is good for me, right? You print a lot of money. Guess where the money goes to? Us, business owners, right? Big business owners. Why? Because when the bottom, 70%, 60%, whatever it is, when they get the relief payment, guess what they do? They go spend it on businesses, right? So the businesses actually boom, but that also causes inflation. So, for me, as an actual business owner, as I got a coaching practice, I would actually love for the government to go out and print, go out and do another massive QE. Go out there and just massive. Why? Because it's going to filter to us business owners, and it's going to cause the top people to get even richer. But this is not about me. This is all about the people who don't understand that now inflation and so on and so forth. So it's absolutely crazy what I'm seeing through there. And I'm just absolutely lost for words that they're doing the same thing over and over and over again. All right, so let's actually look at have a look at the actual stock market itself. And I really want to share something with you when it comes to this here. There is right now, when I'm looking at the actual stock market itself, the S&P 500, we can see that we're still in this sideways range. So we're not out of the woodwork yet. We're not out of we're not out of the woodwork because we're still in this sideways range, and this still could just be some sort of a pullback in the market street here. So the big thing that I'm watching for right now when it comes to the markets is what's going to happen here. Do we actually start to break up? Because if we do start to break up from here, right? If we do start to break up from here, then this whole point through here is going to be just it's possibly going to be possibly coming to an end, and we're going to have a low and then a higher low, and then we're possibly going to start to move up. So what actually happens here? Because if we look at this here, we're still in this pullback phase. We're still very, very, very volatile, and through the pullback phases, the market can shake you out. And give you false breakouts. So if I just bring up a blank chart with candlesticks, let me go to say, for example, the mining sector here for a minute. I'll give you an example of what I mean here, right? So you can see here as an example of the mining sector. So you can see the market actually had let me just do this here. So you can see we actually had a movement down and then a pullback. Notice we had this breakaway bar here, or a potential bullish bar through here, all right? Oh man, my computer's so slow today. So notice we actually had that through there, right? So what does that actually mean? What does that mean? Well, that means this, right? That means, so we can see that a lot of the times we can actually looks like we're starting to get some upward movement, but they're actually fake outs. So we're still in this pullback phase. When it comes to the stock market, you can see how we're still in this overall pullback phase when it comes to the to the actual stock market itself as well too. So we look at the Dow Jones, and the same sort of thing, right, is that we're not out of the woodwork yet. So we're actually still in a slight little sideways phase through here, and same for the Nasdaq. We're still in this sideways phase. Now, here's the different scenarios that I'm focusing on right now on a technical analysis basis. Yes, we are in a pullback phase. But what comes next is what will determine is what's likely to happen. So what I mean by that is this, is that you can see how that if I actually look at this market here, let me actually bring on some trend lines, okay? So we have this one trend line, okay? One line. And if I bring up a line through there, so somewhere through there, I'm going to bring up that line through there. Okay, so they're the two different lines I'm focusing on right now. And what comes next here is this, is that if we do start to get a break above here, and we get some sort of strong break above, then we could at least see a move back up towards the 12,200 level. Now, it doesn't mean that the trend is ending, but there's something changing there if that does happen, okay? But if for some reason this is just a little short-term upward move, and then suddenly out of nowhere we get something like this. Let me just do this here. All right. So if we do get something like this, and then we roll over like that, then ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls, we are then likely to head back down to around that 10,000 level. That 10,000 level is my major level of support when it comes to these markets. So it's going to be really interesting, and this is where we need to be patient. Okay, so really be patient when it comes to these markets here. Don't be trying to jump in and preempt, because you're gonna, don't think you're smarter than the markets. Don't think, throw that ego out the window or throw that fear out the window, and just focus on what the market's telling you. Right now, we're not getting a good clear direction. Wait for at least a bit of a clear direction. And then we can start to see, the market actually making moves, right? So this is as you can see here, right? We get a sideways movement. We don't know. We get a breakaway bar. It confirms we're likely to now go down, and then we go down, right? Sideways. If we get a breakaway bar, we could see move down. As you can see through here, we got the pull. We got a pullback sideways. We actually got a breakdown bar, come down, pull back down. We actually got some sideways movement through here, as you can see. Then we got a breakdown bar, and then the market actually continued down, right? So you can see when we do get these pullbacks, and we start to get after a pullback, and then we get a large bar breaking down, that's a sign of a bit of a move down, come down, sideways, breakaway bar, sideways for a bit, down, up, sideways again, breakaway bar. So if we do get something like this, then you know what's likely to come, right, in the actual charts itself. So, and then also same for the Russell as well too. If we look at the Russell and what's going on through there, let's actually bring up this chart through here. You can see what's going on here. This is just still sideways small bars through here. So let me bring up this chart through here. Let me bring up, say, 1 year worth of data. There we go. All right, a bit more. There we go. Okay, cool. So you can see what's going on here. So we're not out of the woodwork yet, okay? It's not like this is going to start to make this thing go absolutely just buoy, and then we're going to start to see a massive move to the upside. Because we're still in this, you can see, right? We're still in this sideways movement. We're not getting any strong movement to the upside. And we are still creating these highs, lower highs, and we still could get another significant lower high here somewhere, and may even be this through here, and if we do start to do something like this and we get a breakdown like that, then guess what, traders? Then we're probably likely to see, if we do get that, then we're probably likely to see a much more significant move on the downside. And then I believe if we do get that, we're probably likely to get the capitulation, and then after the capitulation, then we're probably going to start to see a nice movement up. So that's actually probably what's going on through there. And why is my computer so slow today? And so we can see that through there. Let's go have a look at gold as well too. Gold has continued to fall off the cliff right now, but we are still the big interesting thing for me when it comes to gold. And let me just take everything off the screen, and then I'll zoom this out a bit more. The big thing I'm noticing when it comes to gold is we're still at these longer term level of support. It's like, what actually comes next out of this here? Do we get some sort of V bottom out of this one, or do we just continue to break down? If we do continue to break down past this 1700 level, then gold, and I know this makes no sense. This makes no sense, especially in the environment we're in right now. But if we do break 1700, which I doubt it, but it can, then we're probably going to head on down to 1450. But what actually happens is that what happens if we actually start to get some sort of V bottom out of this one here, right? A bit of a V bottom coming up through there. So so you can see this. If we do get something like that, then that'll be actually really nice and then we'll probably get a bit of a pullback first, right? V bottom, pullback, and then away we go in the markets through there. So I hope that makes sense for you. Alrighty, so what I want to do is I want to go have a look at silver now. Silver's sort of the same thing. Silver actually got a bit of a strong flush down past this support level. So I'm expecting some sort of a pullback out of silver soon, but because we're very, very sort of long in the tooth when it comes to this here. The big thing that we can see when it comes to the silver market is this. I really want to share this with you here. It's like, you can see we have a high, lower high, and a lower high here, right? So the big thing about silver is we are actually continuing to make this movement on the downside. And the big lessons when it comes to silver is just continue to flow with the markets, right? High, high, low, high, low, high, low. We broke a lower low and then a lower high. What does that mean? It means the trend has changed, right? Because if we start an upward trend, high lows, right? Higher lows all the way up, and then suddenly we drop down and we make a lower low, then we make a lower high, and then we roll over. The market is always talking to us, and over my sort of last 20 years of my trading career, and that's where, like, if you go to johnsfreegift.com, and in that trading course, this one right here, I really walk you through a lot of what really made a big difference in my trading career, and what really happened, and over my last 20 years, that the big powerful things that really made a big difference through there. So yeah, if you do go to that, or when you go to that, you can see that through there. But the big thing is always about listening to the markets here, and we can see this happen all the time. If you look at something like JP Morgan, look at this here on JP Morgan. When did the trend start to change? When we started getting what? Lower highs and lower lows, right? So we started, and this is where just keep an eye on this, higher lows all the way up, right? So we started getting higher lows all the way up. Then guess what? Lower low, lower high, lower low. So look at this here. Now we're getting what? These significant lower highs through here. When did it start to change? When we started to break these key levels of support, lower low, zoop, down. Look at this here. Now look what's happening. Now we're in a downward trend, right? And all through the news and so on and so forth. So that's actually really where we actually want to just sort of keep an eye on what's going on through there when it comes to, when it comes to the actual markets itself, and we want to go there. So let me actually just share something with you when it comes to the interest rates and so on and so forth. So we can see here what I believe is likely to continue to happen is, let me actually bring you down. We're actually getting can I zoom in on this one? No, I can't. But let me go down to here. Oh, look at the 2 spread. A recession is definitely coming. The 10-2 spread is actually, look at that. Look what's happening through there. So what's probably likely to happen, as you can see here from the 10 to 2 year spread, is you can see every time we come down, then we get a movement up, then recession comes. We come back down, we get a movement up, then recession comes. We come down, we get a movement up, then recession comes. So we're actually getting that right now from that through there. And this is already happening right now. This is something I've been talking about for quite some time. I'm just looking at this chart over here, and I've been saying that the long end, this sort of 10, 20, and 30 years, probably going to start to come down as the Fed keeps jacking up this here, and that's what's going to create the inversion of that through there, especially when we start to get this sort of 1 month up through there. And you can see what's happening through here when it comes to the interest rates. We're just sort of jacking it up really, really, really quickly through there. And so we're definitely getting very, very, very close to the tipping point. The recession doesn't come straight away, but this is actually creating definitely a warning sign through there. Now, the really interesting thing about the stock market is that the stock market, it's where we are right now, is that we may be halfway through this big crash, and Michael Burry might be right. He might be right? Because we know Michael Burry's come out. He's actually said a few things about the big crash through there, and so that's what I wanted to share with you through there, traders. Let me actually just share. I want to share some things that are happening with the actual the Bitcoin, and then I'll get to actually let me just quickly. As you can see, guys, I'm just what I'm doing right now is I'm just throwing my thoughts out there when it comes to this here. It's nothing's really planned for this video. I'm just looking at all the different markets myself and speaking out aloud of some things that are going through my mind. So let's go to the 30 year. And as you can see, something I've been talking about with the 30 year for quite some time is the head and shoulder formation. And this is what's actually happening. This is why I said before, if you remember that yield curve I said before, right? This is the 30 year, and this is where I believe the 30 year is going to start to come down, because we're starting to get this rolling over pattern. Remember I talked before about the charts analysis and so on and so forth. So this rolling over pattern through there is that's where we're at. So as this 30 year starts to probably continue to come down, this is where if we go back to the yield curve, remember I said before, the 30 year is probably going to continue to come down as they continue to jack up rates, and that's going to create like a real true inversion where the 2 years probably going to be up here somewhere, right? Up here somewhere. The 30 years is going to be down here somewhere, and that's going to create the inversion. Then we're going to go through the recession, and then that's what's going. Then we're going to continue to get the. Then I believe that's when they're going to do the massive sort of QE. But this right here in Australia, is that the sign to come for the rest of the world? I don't know, but it's coming a lot quicker than I originally thought. We're not even in recession right now, and they're actually doing that. So it's crazy. Anyway, so again, same for the 10 year as well too. We're getting this head and shoulder formation. We break this low level here. We break 2.8, and then we're probably going to head back down towards that 1.8 on the interest rate on the 10-year. Now, if we go back to the yield curve once again, let's go back to the yield curve. If we look at the 10-year, if the 10-year did go down to 1.8 right now, if the Fed did say for example, the Fed did jack it up again another 0.5%, so it went up to 2, and then and this is the 10-year, and the 10-year actually went down to 1.8. Then guess what? Now we got what? Now we got the inversion going on. See how that works through there. If the 30-year, if it does break this low level, then it looks like it's going to come back down towards the 2% mark, low 2s. And if we do get that, then go down to low 2s. Yeah, there we go. So this one here looks like it could go down to 1.8. This one here is probably could go down to around the 2s. If we continue, if they do another, especially they do another big jack, like another 2.75, it's going to be at 2.75, and then see how that's going to create the inversion through there when it comes to that. So that's where, like, guys, when I'm looking at the actual stock market itself, I'm not ruling out anything right now when it comes to the actual stock market itself. We can see how we're still continue to be in this overall downward trend. And right now, we could just be going through a bit of a sideways phase, a pullback phase, before we go through another drop phase. Makes sense? And as you can see, every time we continue to get these pullbacks, highs, lower highs, lower highs through here, you can see what's happening through there. And this is the same for, as I said before, like if you look at banks like JP Morgan, same thing, right? We get these high, lower highs. So every time we got these pullback, down, lower high, lower high. And that's the reason why, if we continue, we could probably likely to continue to see something like that when it comes to the actual stock market itself through there. So maybe we're getting towards the end of it, but right now nothing has changed, and so therefore we could see a breakout with a rally. But there's a massive more probability that if we do, let me actually bring this back up here again. If we do, and as I was saying before, if we do start to roll over through here, and we get something like this, then we're going to continue this downward move, especially if we break this low level through here. And if I actually bring up a bit of some trend lines, let me duplicate that, right? So you can see that's actually the low level through there. So that's that sort of double top, double bottom level. Where does it break? If we break up above this line here, then something different is happening. In fact, if I go to the SPY, let me check the SPY. Yeah, actually, there wasn't actually a lot of volume on the SPY, was there? Let me go to the DIA, which is the SPY is for the S&P 500. DIA, again, not a lot of volume. Even though we had a big up day, not a lot of volume. So maybe that's going to be a bit of a fake out. Because if we do start to see this movement coming down through like that, then guess what? This was just the pullback, and we're probably going to see a bit of a lot more heaviness on the downside through there. Which right now, that's the biggest probability we're likely to see through there. Looking at now through the Bitcoin charts as well too. Let's go look at some of the crypto markets, and the same thing for the crypto markets, right? We can throw our thoughts and opinions and all that sort of stuff at it, but look what's happening with the crypto market right now. I'm getting excited about the crypto market. Why am I getting excited? Because I'm looking to short. I'm looking for some really good shorting opportunities, right? So I don't care, bull, bear, everything's good to me, right? Look at this here, down, pullback, down, pullback. So if we get something like that, guess what's coming, right? We have a downward move, we get a breakaway bar or breakaway candle. Guess what? The start of the next move. Down, breakaway candle, start of the next move, and then this is probably going to be the last big capitulation type of move. We're probably going to see that through there. If I go have a look at NEO, through here as well too on the daily charts, NEO's not really doing much, is it? So I'm just looking through NEO. NEO's major support level is around that sort of $5 level through there. Let me bring on some moving averages here to see what's going on. Yeah, not really much going on there. Cardano, this is one that I've been really focusing on. I've been really watching for quite some time when it comes to the actual when it comes to these markets. Because if we do start to get a break, if we get a strong bar breaking down out of this Cardano, it's probably going to be a good shorting opportunity for me. Because if I see this here, see all this sideways. If we can get something like this, right? We get something like that, right? We get something like this, then guess what? Then we're probably going to continue down towards that $5 level, and that'd actually be a trade for me. Looking at that, if we look at the 20 moving average or 20's flat, 52's getting a flattening out. That's okay. Yeah, so that'll actually be a trade for me, because if we get a big, especially if we get a big breakdown bar, that's probably going to be the start of the next actual down move from there. Let's go have a look at Ethereum. Yeah, Ethereum's actually not giving me the same pattern. I like to see these patterns here. Right? I like to see this sideways and then breakdown bars like that. That's the pattern. We're getting a bit of an up move first. So Bitcoin's like, the Ethereum is not actually doing that for us. Let's have a look at XRP. XRP could actually be getting ready for another move. We actually had a very nice pullback towards the moving average. And we have a look at XRP. We're definitely getting a nice, good, strong, solid support through there. And so if we go have a look at the weekly charts, let's have a look at the weekly charts, and then the next major level of support on XRP is down through there. So if we do get it's actually pretty, oh yeah. So if we do get a strong bar breaking down out of XRP, then we could start to see, we could possibly start to see XRP back down towards the 15-cent mark. And then that'll give us probably a 60% drop or something like that through there, which actually could be a quite nice short-term trade. I just hope my broker allows me to short things like XRP when it comes to that through there. So that's what I wanted to share with you when it comes to that, traders. And one thing I want to do is I want to leave you on a last. Right now, what I've done is I've just finished the market update, and now if that's what you come for, then that's finished now. I'm just going to share a story with you of something that happened to me recently, and it's why I believe so many people struggle in trading. And it's something that happened with me and a girl and all that sort of stuff. So if you want to know a bit more of a juicy story that happened recently, then stick around. But if not, then make sure you head on down to that johnsfreegift.com, grab that 5-phase trading course. It goes for about 5 hours long, and I promise you that if you just do that alone, you're going to be way ahead of most people out there when it comes to that itself. So while I'm doing that, while I'm actually telling this story, let me bring on. We'll watch the short-term analysis happening with the good old Bitcoin right now as we speak. So I want to share this story with you because I think it's going to really, really, really help you out. So here's the story. What happened to me, like with me personally, I'm very big into fitness. Okay, I'm very, very, very big into fitness, and I do a lot of running, I do a lot of jumping, and I do a lot of a lot of cardio. I'm a beast, and I don't just say that to be proud, but if you ever want to come and train with someone that's going to push you, then I'm your guy. So anyway. But what I do is 1 to 2 days per week, I actually take off. When on those days, I go do a lot of recovery work. So I do a lot of Normatec. Normatec is for the Normatec for your legs. There's also, I also do cryotherapy. I do float tank. I do infrared sauna. The infrared sauna that I go to is amazing because it also has light therapy as well too. So it's at the exact same time. Not only do you get the infrared, but you also get the light therapy at the exact same time. Amazing, absolutely amazing. That is. The sweat and the intensity is quite amazing. So that's what I do, and I go to these recovery centers. Plus also there's these hot and cold magnesium spas. I go to these recovery centers to really help me. So anyway, so over the last 6 months, I've been getting to know this young lady, and she's quite cute, and over the last sort of 6 months, I've gotten to know her a bit, and about what's going on in her life, and what's happening through there. And so what ended up happening was over the last few weeks, she started dating or started seeing this particular guy. Now, bear with me, okay, guys. This story is also going to lead into why trading is so difficult for most people as well, too, right? So just bear with me because I'm going to tie this into trading. I'm trying to give you a bit of an analogy here. All right. So, but also to give you a bit of a juicy story. Okay. So start you off a bit of a Monday motivation with a bit of a juicy story. So anyway, so this young lady, let's call her B, right? I'm not gonna say her name because she might be watching my video right now. She go, "Hey, why did you say my name? Why did you tell? I know you're talking about me." So let's just call her B, right? So B, she's a very good-looking girl. But she's a young lady. She's only 20 years of age, right? So B started seeing this guy, and of course she was like, "This is the guy for me." And everything on paper, Everything the guy was selling basically was everything that she wanted. And she's like, this is the guy for me. He's on the, he's and she obviously, she started the fall for this guy, right? Now, B is also about 6 months out, roughly about 6 months out of going through a 3-year breakup. So she probably has another 6 months or so of actually, of recovery, right? So she's not 100% there. She's not 100% cured yet at herself. So tread water, okay? So she started to see this guy, and what happened is that obviously after a while they were seeing each other for a few weeks, and then suddenly what happened, which happens most of the time, is what happens most of the time when you start dating a young lady, and it's pretty hot and heavy, and especially if the guy is doing too much too soon. Open the car door, being really nice, being at your beck and call, texting all the time. Good morning, good night. I care for you. I love you. I adore you. Bring your flowers, bring your lunch. That's what this guy was doing. I don't know about the flowers, but it was the lunches and all, everything else, apart from the flowers. I don't know about the flowers, but everything else this guy was doing in the first 3 weeks. It's like way too much, right? Way too much. All right. So he was way more into him. So he was way more into her than she was into him. And when that happens, ladies, if you're watching this right now, you know exactly what I'm talking about, right? So then what happens? Like, he's more into me than I am into him right now. And that scares me. I'm going to lose my freedom, all right? I need space. So then guess what happens? Something snaps. And then she goes, oh, I need space. And she pulls back. And when she pulls back and she needs space, this is when most guys go wrong, right? I'm giving you a bit of relationship advice here. So what do most guys do? Most guys, like this guy actually did when she said that I need a bit of space right now, and she pulled back. And this guy, this guy came on and he's like, and he said, she'll show me these text messages, paragraphs and paragraphs long, about how we need to communicate and how I really care for you and blah, 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 all this sort of stuff, right? And he called her and she was like, I'm busy cleaning my room or something like that. It was like really short response from her, and he was like, woof, right? He was like smothering her, right? And I could see this from her, and she doesn't understand. She doesn't understand the dynamics of the attraction and why she felt this amazing attraction for this guy, but now it's disappeared. She doesn't even understand herself, right? I understand it because I've done I continue to do a lot of work when it comes to masculine, feminine dynamics and the stuff that I'm teaching you, right? The stuff that I'm talking about right now, right? So what he did was the wrong thing. He didn't back away. And then suddenly now she's pulled away right now, and there's a really good chance, if she hasn't forgiven him, or if he hasn't actually at least pulled away himself, that there's a really good chance that he's actually gotten friend zone right now. And so what happened, the whole story about that is that this guy and this lady had a real good, strong connection, right? Things were going well. And then suddenly she needed space. This is the same thing that happens with trading. Sometimes you're trading and you've got some really good trades coming, right? And then you trade really well, right? And things are happening, things are going well, aka this lady and this guy, right? B and her C man, they were together, things are working out well. And then she pulls back and she says she needs space. Same with the stock market. She pulls back and she needs space, aka you don't really have any good trades. There's not really any good setups that appear maybe for a week or two. So the same with this guy, B, this lady, B, and her guy, the best thing that he should have done is what? Pull back himself. But why didn't he pull back? He didn't pull back because of fear, right? He didn't pull back because of fear. And the fear the fear that happened, and the fear, he was like, I'm fearful of losing her. Oh my goodness, she's pulling back. I'm fearful. So he calls, he texts, he blows up her phone, he smothercates up, blah, 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 all that sort of stuff, right? And she pulls back further and further and further. Why is he doing that? He's fearful of losing her. But one thing he doesn't realize is that when B pulled back and said she needs space, and he didn't give that to her, the thing is that now he's afraid of actually losing her. So he takes more action. He does more things. And the very thing he's the very thing that he's actually afraid of doing, which is losing B, is the thing that actually happens. When you're fearful and you start to take action based on, oh my goodness, I'm afraid, and you start to take action based on that fear, guess what? You actually end up causing that thing to happen. So he was fearful, so he took all this action to try to stop her from pulling away, and then guess what happened? She pulled further and further and further away. And I said to her, I said, if he just, and I said to B, I said, B, one thing he doesn't understand, I said, if you just said that you need space and he pulled back for 2 weeks, maybe a month, and then she stopped me, she said, I would come back. And then guess what? When she does come back, inevitably they always come back, guess what? They would have had a much deeper connection. No, I'm not sure what's happening now. It's been about 2 or 3 days or 3 or 4 days since I've actually spoken to her about that dynamic there. I see her when I go into the recovery center, but I could see where she was at and what was going on there and the way that he was reacting to that. And so what ended up happening was the whole thing blew up in his face, and now what he really wanted, which was to continue to date and have a really good relationship with this lady, with B, maybe ending right now as I speak. I don't know, depending if she's given him a second chance or not, or depending if he actually pulled back, right? It may be coming to an end. And so the very thing that he wanted is now coming to an end. And this is the exact same thing. I thought about this because after I spoke to her, then she left, and then I went into the infrared sauna for 45 minutes. And as I was in the infrared sauna for 45 minutes, I started to think about this dynamic when it comes to trading, right? This is the same thing that happens with trading. When the thing is like when there's no good trades that's happening right now, and we haven't had a trade for a whole week, we start to get what? We start to get fearful that there's not going to be another setup. There's not going to be another good setup around the corner. And you start to force things. You start to push and push and push. You start to try to force things right now. Try to make money right now. And guess what ends up happening? The thing you actually want, which is you want to make money. The thing you're afraid of is, oh my goodness, I don't think the thing you're afraid of, which is actually not making money. Guess what ends up happening? You actually do that, right? Because instead of you sitting back and waiting and relaxing and waiting for the time for really good quality setups to appear, if you just do that, then you'll be off to the races, right? So if we have a look at if you have a look at that and how that works in trading, is that you may trade well for a while, aka B in the relationship are doing well for a while, she pulls back, she needs space. Then suddenly over a week or 2 or 3, maybe even 4 weeks, there's actually no trades for you. What do? You freak out, right? Oh my goodness, and you try to force it and you start to rush it instead of pulling back. So you know what? I'm just gonna wait. I'm gonna be patient and I'm gonna wait for these trades to come. Now, just like B's seeing partner, call him seeing partner because they're not really a relationship, partner, relationship, whatever the dynamic is going on between them. Because he forced it and rushed it, guess what? Now he blew himself in the water. That's the exact same thing that happens with trading, right? When you're trading and there's no really good quality setups, but you want to force it and rush it right now, guess what happens? You actually send yourself backwards. And then if you send yourself backwards, and by the time maybe a really good quality setup comes, maybe 2 weeks, maybe a month, maybe that's how much time B needs before she comes back, right? Just before another good trade comes back. You don't realize, but you forcing it, pushing it, and rushing it, and you try to push. Guess what ends up happening? By the time 2 weeks comes past, and another really good quality setup that comes past that would have made you a lot of money, maybe grew your account by 20%. You now are at the stage where your account is maybe even blowing up. Maybe it's gone down by 50% because you just forced it, rushed it, pushed it. Maybe it's completely blown up in total. But if it's not, even if your account is now, if you've had 2 or 3 or 4 losses in a row because you've been taking all these shit trades because you're forcing it, then the next trade comes around and you don't end up taking that trade because now you're afraid of having a loss. And then guess what? That's actually a profitable trade. So through that, call that 2 weeks, right? 2 weeks, just like the B's seeing partner, right? If he pulled back for 2 weeks, she would have come back and they would have deeper connection and would have continued moving forward. Same with the stock market. If she pulls back, aka the stock market pulls back and you don't get any really good quality setups, then don't force it, don't rush it. Because then in 2 weeks, you do take the trade and guess what? You're back off to the races again. So there we go, traders. I hope you enjoyed that little story that happened recently when it comes to something in my life, and all I do say, guys, is one last little thing here to finish this off, is that if we can just remember that one of the most important traits to a trader, and a lot of traders want a good trading system, but they're shit traders themselves. There's two separate things that goes into trading. I can give you an incredible trading setup. In fact, I walked you through an incredible trading pattern today. I walked you through that. If you don't know what that is, then you'll be able to see what I talked about, the sideways movement, the breakdown bar, and so on and so forth. I gave you some really good quality setups today, but the setups is only 5% of your success. If you want to do well out of trading, then that's 5% of your success. The 95% of your success comes from those other things like I was talking about today, right? Having the ability to be patient and wait for the market to give you a good quality setup, right? It's having the discipline to say no to all this other bullshit that may come around that may be tempting you to get involved with the markets, right? It may be tempting right now. And it's also having the consistency to the consistency I have found over the last 20 years of trading. The consistency is all about consistency of the market you trade, consistency of the time you trade, consistency of the plan you trade, aka the setup. I have found in the last 20 years, and I'm speaking from a person who's done this most dumbass shit when it comes to trading, I wasn't consistent trading one market. Like I might look at the stock market one day, the next day I might trade the Forex market, next day there was no consistency. Okay. Then there was no consistency of the time that I was looking at the markets. And then there's no consistency of focusing on one system. I was focusing on 2 or 3 or 4 different trading systems because I thought more trading systems are going to equal more income. More trades equals more income. And that was completely opposite, right? Because I was making mistakes and so on and so forth. So if you getting ahead in the markets is really a lot about you becoming a good trader and working on the consistency levels that I talked about, the discipline levels to only take those setups that what meets your plan, and also the discipline to say no in the markets, but then also that patience. And that's and the patient levels is what's called patience in and patience out. What I mean by that is this. Patience out simply means what I talked about today, right? With B's story, right? If the guy was just patient and he pulled back for 2 weeks or for a month, she would have come back to him. If he was just patient, everything would have been okay. Okay, now I just need to be patient here, right? If you're just patient out of the market when you're not in the market, then guess what? Then suddenly, if you're patient, then guess what? Or if you're not, if you are patient, then that's one of the most important things, right? Be patient between those times where you have a good trade and the next trade that comes up. That patience, being patient for that. That's patience out of the markets. Okay, patience in the market simply means sometimes when you're in a trade, if you're looking for longer term moves, you have to be patient and allow the trade and things to do and unfold. For big moves to happen, big moves take time. Now, I always recommend having some sort of level where you're going to get out, whether you're trading options or whether you're just you're buying the stock or you're using margin, or even if you're using futures, Forex, doesn't matter, all right? Always have a level where you're going to have a stop loss in place, where you're going to get out. But in between that stop loss and what's happening with the market, just sometimes we need to be patient with our position and let it go. As I said before, we always have I'm saying be patient in the market, but I'm saying have a maximum stop loss. So for example, if I'm looking at this Bitcoin 1 minute chart, we've been watching this Bitcoin 1 minute chart unfold, right? If I entered here, but I had a stop loss here, well then I need to be patient, right? Because Bitcoin could do something like this. And it could do something like that. And then guess what? We're being impatient, but our maximum stop is down here. And then it might do something like this, and then it might do something like that. And then now we get impatient, we get out, and then suddenly, 15 minutes later, it's actually doing that because this is a minute chart, right? Or this could be a daily chart. You could be in it for a few days. The most biggest trades that The most successful trades that I've gotten into, which was over 1,000% return trading options, did exactly that. I'd get in on a nice good breakaway bar and it just went sideways literally for 2 weeks and it did nothing. And then we got a big breakaway bar and we absolutely exploded. So my most successful trades, sometimes they don't do anything for a week or two and then they actually explode to the upside. Now that's not always the case from that there. But I'm just trying to give you an example that sometimes the best trades the best trades generally require you to have a lot more patience in the market as well.